Oh!
Okay, shut up.
Hold on, I just spilled. I just exploded a cream egg all over my fingers. Carry
Okay,
on.
well, that can go in the introduction, I think.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
hello, everyone who might be listening. Good morning. Welcome to this podcast, where we're going to talk about Inglourious Basterds from 2009, directed by Quentin Tarantino. Who are you guys? Tell me about yourselves.
I'm Harry. And I just spilled a cream egg everywhere. I'm going to put this to the side.
That's probably a good idea.
There we go.
And my name is Dan,
Hello, Dan. How are you today?
short for Daniel.
Could never have guessed.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to watch Inglourious Basterds then, I'm guessing?
What's so Inglourious Basterds, Jake?
Yeah, I actually haven't seen
Can you
it.
tell me?
It's a film by Quentin Tarantino. I believe it was written by him as well, right? So he's also in it, as he always is in every film he's in.
Yeah, he's a corpse, isn't he? He's been scalped by.
Yeah,
The first one
Yeah.
in the film.
yeah. Rip. Poor
Rip his
poor
scalp.
Tarantino. So, what did you guys think? I mean, Dan, you're the one that recommended this film, we should mention. So we'll start with you. What did you think?
Well, it's the reason I recommended it is because it is one of my favorite films of all time, and last night was the third time of me watching it, and I love it. And I think every time I watch it, I notice new details in the film. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about it, so I'll let Harry go next.
Okay. Yeah, it's the second time watching it for me. I love it. I think it was different than I remember, but I think I don't know, it's just great film. Pacing is great. Got some comedy in it. It's a good Tarantino film, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it was my second time watching it last night as well, and I really enjoyed it this time. I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't really take it in. I think I have this thing, where I put it on late at night and I fall asleep, and then I watch it the next day. From the point where I remember falling asleep, you can never really appreciate it, I think, that way. So watching it last night, just all from start to finish, was a nice treat. I remember it's a lot better than I remember, actually. I really enjoyed it. So I guess we could talk about, have you got any favourite scenes? Anything you really like? Should mention that maybe mention the cast a little bit. Obviously, Brad Pitt's in it. He plays would you say he's the lead?
I want to say the what's her name? The Jewish girl at the start.
Shoshana Dreyfus.
Yeah, Shoshana. Yeah, that's the name of the character, right? What's the name of the actress?
Melanie Laurent. I can't pronounce it. Terrible French accent.
Oh,
Her name's
nice.
Melanie.
Good enough, better than me.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really have one lead, does it? But I feel like that's the closest we have to a lead is maybe her. But,
I mean, I think Christopher Waltz.
I mean,
did
yeah. I mean, he's the
a phenomenal job on that. Honestly,
Yeah.
he was so consistent throughout the entire
Yeah.
film. His
His
character was amazing.
that first scene,
I was gonna
so
say.
much
Yeah.
impact right off the bat, and
Mm-hmm.
I took note actually that it's like the way that that Tarantino actually directs this scene, right? Is like it's going like it's doing wide shots of them both, so they're in the rule of thirds, where like they're sort of facing each other across the camera, and then as he actually, because he's just sort of playing with his food, isn't he? At this point, right? He's always being the gentleman.
Yeah.
He's always like, I don't know. He's toying with everyone to the whole film, and
Yeah, you already know the outcome. Like he already knows the outcome.
Yeah.
But he's just
Yeah.
fucking with him.
yeah. And in that scene when he actually gets to the point of being like, "Are you hiding Jews in this house?" The camera that's when it does that like close up on them both, and it's
Yeah.
gradually zooming in, and you can just see how he's just fucking staring at them, and
Yeah.
that's why he gives them up in the end, isn't it? Because he just knows I ain't got a chance here.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that scene as well, I'd have to point this out. When he goes to smoke his pipe and he just pulls out this massive pipe just to flex on him. I don't know. I find that subtly so funny. The way he lowers his pipe as well. The homeowner.
Actually,
It's
it's really
just
interesting that
different.
the way they added him getting out of the big pipe, because I was watching an interview with Quentin Tarantino, and he was talking about that scene, and he said to him, he's not even sure if Hans Landa even smokes. So he's just doing that as like a power play.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. And it's
Yeah.
sort of, he's always putting that like power play on everyone. I think. I get the feeling that he just loves his job.
Yeah. It's like he's not even like, he doesn't even, to me at least, the way I see it is like, he doesn't even necessarily like hate the Jews. He's like this psychopath that sees it as a game. And it's like the Nazis have just given Hans Lander this job that just stimulates him mentally. And that's what he loves. He doesn't even necessarily have to be for the Nazis. It could be for anyone. It could be for like the KGB or whatever. Or just even just being a detective. It's just, he just loves this game that he plays.
He says later on in the film that he's a damn good detective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Damn good
he
one.
even calls himself a detective.
And it's also like
Yeah.
the fact that he sort of uses it at the end to just sort of like completely betrays the Nazis,
Yeah.
like almost entirely. He knows where it's going, and
Yeah.
it's every man for himself at that point. So I did want to ask actually, did you know the milk, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there's some significance to that? Why he drinks the milk?
Yeah, I saw
I was thinking
there was I saw one guy who did an analysis on that. Where there's a very interesting detail where when he asks the farmer's daughter for some milk, he holds her wrist,
Right.
and he brings up the point that it could be that he is checking her pulse to see if she's like
that's interesting.
to see if she's like worried, to see like how everyone's feeling in the room. So like he doesn't even want milk. He's just using that to see how people react to him, like asking for things.
Wow.
very
Yeah.
subtle detail.
Yeah, and I mean there's a lot of subtlety going on in this scene. You got anything else you want to mention on this?
When the woman when she escapes and runs away, and he's walks outside all calmly, pulls out his Walter, aims it right at her. I remember the first watch, him shooting it.
Oh really?
Not sure why.
Oh.
Yeah, but and then when he didn't, I was like he just seems to get this like sick pleasure, just let her just run away.
Yeah.
It's
So,
almost
yeah,
like he
he's
knows.
probably
He
done,
yeah.
knows. Oh, I'll find you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just much. Yeah, he doesn't want to miss, almost sort of thing. Like if he misses, it's embarrassing himself.
Yeah. Or alternatively, it's like he actually wants her to get away because he's gonna have fun finding her later on.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, he's a bastard. So we all agree that Christoph Waltz is kind of the fucking
Yeah.
goat of this film.
Yeah, he did amazing.
It's interesting how Quentin Tarantino cast him as well, because Quentin Tarantino wrote the character of Hans Lander years before they filmed it, and he loved the character that he'd written. Like he thought, he thinks like I think he's even said that Hans Lander is like the best character he's ever written for a film, and he was worried that he wouldn't be able to find anyone that was good enough to play him, because Hans Lander speaks 4 languages. So like already
Yeah.
that's an extremely tall task to find someone that speaks English, French, German, and Italian.
And
then,
so well as well.
Yeah, because he actually cast, because it was filmed in France and Germany, the film was, and they did casting there. So a lot of the cast are French and German actors. So Christoph Waltz originally was he's like a German TV actor. He wasn't actually very famous or successful. So Christoph Waltz coming into this was actually like, it's very nice to see he's like really humble, because
Yeah.
like this is the biggest role he's ever had.
And I mean,
like-
God, he really,
Yeah.
he really takes it on. It's
Yeah.
pretty special. I was going to say actually, I do really appreciate the casting with the nationalities and stuff. It feels really authentic all the way through.
Yeah.
And obviously all the accents are like, and there's that whole scene which relies on Michael Fassbender not having a very good German accent,
Yeah.
which sort of and so it just makes the whole thing seem a lot more believable with all that. So yeah, do you want to talk about the next scenes? There's the introduction of all the Americans, the Yankees, the bastards, I should say.
Yeah.
Have you got a favourite?
How was he? Character?
I like-
Favourite of the bastards.
Oh, go on, Harry. You first.
No, I know. I'm thinking. I don't
Okay.
know. There's a few.
My favorite might be Hugo Stieglitz.
Yeah, I really like.
I
him.
really like. Yeah, I like him a lot.
Yeah, he reminds me of the guy from Wolfenstein.
Which guy? Like the main
the
character.
main guy. You know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's just like he just wants to fucking kill Nazis.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Also, I think I should point out, just because I know this, you know, the Bear Jew,
Yeah.
Yeah.
played by Eli Roth, who is actually more of a director than an actor. He directed the Hostel films.
Oh.
Yeah, which are pretty nasty horror. He's a big horror guy. He's almost like a controversial director in the horror world because not many people actually really like his films. I don't know if that's true actually, but yeah, he's got mixed opinions on his films, but I quite like him. So.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite actors, honestly, in the film.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his eyes throughout the entire film. He looks like he's fucking.
Yeah.
He just wants to beat the shit out of some Nazis.
He's
with
got
a
some real
baseball bat.
presence, you know.
Yeah.
I like it when when he's shooting down at the people, the Nazis in the theater at
he's
the end.
fuck, yeah.
You can just see he's like really. Oh,
Yeah.
Wide-eyed.
No, apparently, as a little, I've got a lot of notes on like production and stuff, so I'm just gonna,
yeah, go for it.
I'm just gonna say things about that. Is apparently Quentin Tarantino originally had in mind to play Donnie Donovitz was what's his name?
I don't know.
This is
You know.
Adam Sandler. His
Oh,
name escaped
really?
me for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, that was it. Because
No way.
Adam Sandler's Jewish, so I guess that's why. But I don't know how I feel about that because I think unpopular opinion. Actually, it's not that unpopular. I think Adam Sandler is a good actor. He's just in shit films.
Yeah, I don't disagree, honestly.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot of Adam Sandler films. I've definitely seen a few of the bad ones though. But
Yeah.
I like Happy Gilmore. It's okay. And what's the other one? He did that Uncut Gems in 2019, which is meant to be really, really good. So maybe that'll be one we could talk about in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen many Adam Sandler films myself. The whole a lot of his films don't really interest me. It's kind of a bit a bit stupid.
Yeah, I mean he's done some really dumb films.
He's just in a lot of rom-coms as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I will say is I'm glad it was Eli Roth.
Yeah.
I think he works for that character.
I think
Yeah.
apparently the reason why Adam Sandler wasn't in the end is because Adam Sandler turned it down because he was working on Funny People, which is a film he's in at the time.
Biggest regret for him.
I haven't seen Funny People, but that's what he was working on at the time.
That's a shame, but also not a shame for us.
Yeah, the viewers.
Also, I did want to take note. I really like. There's a couple of things I really like in the scene. First of all, how they introduce Hugo Stiglitz with the very classic. Because the first two scenes, or the first two chapters, I should say, of this film, it feels like a western. The music.
I have that exact same note down.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the scene where he's in the tunnel and he's smashing the bat. It's like back and forth from there. You got the music going.
I mean, it literally
really
has
does feel like a western.
in the track list spaghetti western.
Does it?
Yeah, that's the whistling that plays while they're scalping them to begin with. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's definitely something to do with spaghetti western. I love it's so Tarantino, that introduction to that character with the the strong guitar that plays as it sort of, and then it throws up Hugo Stiglitz on the screen and shows him killing the Gestapo officers.
Yeah. Almost like a Borderlands boss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely. It's also, I love that line that Aldo Rain says when he says something like, "We got a German who wants to die for his country. Oblige him." I thought that was really funny. And also, I like how this chapter, there's sort of two scenes going on at the same time. There's the scene with Hitler talking to his officers and obviously the guy that's going to come up. And it's how they show the parallels between the two scenes where he's getting him to point out where the Nazis are. And then he says, "Oh, you can't tell him that's why we let you go, blah, blah, blah." And then they show him cutting the swastika in his head. And then Hitler pulls the hat up and sees the swastika. I just like how it's basically doing two scenes at the same time. And
that happens
they
throughout
wrap
the
up.
film.
Yeah, I know. And I love it. It's really effective. I think that's quite a Tarantino thing as well.
Yeah, he certainly does it very well. I've seen some films that it kind of just takes you out of the pacing of it and it just throws you around all over the place. But it's very consistent throughout this film.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're being taken out of the action. It feels very consistent throughout.
You got anything else you want to add on this scene? That's what I think.
Ooh, other than it being fucking brutal when he's like, when he gets smashed around the head. A lot of films might just cut there or like leave him just motionless on the
Yeah,
floor. But
that's true.
he's still like he seems like he's very obviously being smashed around the head with the baseball bat. He's very dazed. He's still conscious.
Mm.
It's fucking brutal.
Well, Tarantino
Yeah.
loves violence.
Oh yes.
There was something I wanted to mention about the film in general that I think is really interesting. Is that before it was made, when Quentin Tarantino was writing the script for it, he had too much written down. Like he had written so much, and he was there was a time where he was thinking that he was going to make it into a mini series instead of a film.
Right.
Because he just had like 12 hours worth of like content. That you can kind of see this in some aspects in the way that there's like some little details about characters that aren't explained, which I think probably would have been explained in a mini
Well, there's
series.
a lot of characters in there.
Yeah. So for example, with Aldo, he's got a scar around his neck.
I did notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And I
yeah.
think that might be one of the things that like probably would have been explained at some point if they made a mini series.
Interesting.
Or like just things like how Shoshana ended up getting a cinema,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I did think that because that was probably one of my criticisms. I'd say is just like I just wonder how did she. I mean, how did she come into possession of that cinema if it was in the family and because wouldn't they all be Jewish?
Yeah, they would even.
Yeah, because apparently Quentin Tarantino wrote a backstory for her for why she got it, but like
Right.
he didn't include that in the film because it would have been too long because the film's already like 2.5 hours long. So
Yeah, I did think it's a long film.
yeah.
It does draw you in for the whole thing though, so
Yeah.
pretty good.
A lot of his films do. So
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems to run a lot less.
Well,
Feels
very,
a lot
very
less.
exciting.
than it actually is.
It's also how
Good
he
thing.
can so effectively just have really long conversations going on,
Oh,
but
I
make
mean,
them feel so intense.
one of the things I love about Inglourious Basterds because I love conversation, like just really good conversations in films.
Yeah, me too.
And one of the things I love about Inglourious Basterds is like it's almost as though there isn't really much action. It's pretty much a film of multiple conversations which are suspenseful, where something is about to happen.
Mm.
Especially like the first scene, there's the other scene where it's Shoshana and Hans Lander in that restaurant. That I love that. That's one of the best scenes.
Yeah.
I think as well.
Yeah.
Is when Shoshana's sitting at a table with Goebbels. Goebbels is French interpreter, and
Frederick Zola.
that's the one, Frederick Zola. Thank you. And Hans Lander comes in the room, and then you just get those like drum beat. He's like, dun,
Yeah.
dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. I love that. That's such a great like touch.
Well, that's like his like auteur sort of style, isn't it? He does
Yeah.
that in Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction. The whole like musical incidents where a terrible character comes onto the screen and it's just like so dramatic and
yeah.
that whole strudel scene is great. But we'll I suppose we'll get onto that.
Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping the gun a bit there. Wait,
Nah, it's all right. But we'll move on anyway, and we'll go to chapter 3, which is where we get introduced to Frederick Zola, and as well, it's Shoshana when she's putting the sign. That whole scene, I didn't know that it was her that escaped at the start of the film. I didn't recognise her.
Right.
So when they sort of show that, don't they? Later on, when they're eating the strudel, that it was her, and I was like, oh shit, I had no idea it was her. So
It does say that when she's introduced, the titles come up 4 years after the massacre of her family.
Yeah, I
It
noticed
doesn't
that,
specify specific, where she's from, but
yeah,
I don't think I noticed on the first run.
I think in the first scene when she runs away, she is kind of a little bit like covered in dirt.
And blood.
Yeah, so it is kind of difficult to recognize her, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's sort of, and I don't know, because she's not in it that much to begin with. I sort of it sort of escaped me. So so what do we think of this scene with the cinema?
What, the one where she's standing outside with Frederick Zola?
Yeah, when she's on the ladder and he's introducing himself, and you can tell he kind of he kind of likes her, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his character, honestly. I think
Mhm.
it's shot and filmed in a way that, well, the dialogue as well, that almost makes him out to be like a nice guy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I should mention actually,
all the way to the end.
he's played by Daniel Bruhl, who is I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Probably not. I'll say that. But he's German Spanish origin, which I think is interesting,
Mm.
and it explains again why the accents are so, great.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
think. Yeah.
Go on.
I actually don't have anything to say for this scene. I think
Well, yeah, it's
I-
kind of a
it's not the. I mean, it's a good scene, but like in comparison to the other scenes in the film, it's probably like one of the like less
it's
memorable.
a setup scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously they show the parallel after when he kind of what was it? He kind of just she doesn't want anything to do with him, does she? So, but then she's on the ladder again the next morning, and they come to pick her up, don't they? And that's when she goes to the
Do they come
restaurant.
to invite her to the restaurant?
Yeah. You accepted my invitation. So yeah, okay. We'll go to the restaurant scene then. Do you have anything to say about this one?
It's kind of the same as the previous one, really. Just showing that he's very famous, and that
Yeah.
she doesn't care at all.
Yeah, it's also the fact that it's like he's trying to court her as a French woman by bragging about his exploits of killing 300
Oh.
people.
Yeah, for yeah.
We
But he
actually.
did it in Italy, didn't he? So
Sorry.
what were you gonna say, Dan?
We actually skipped a scene, didn't we?
Did we?
There's another scene where she's sitting in a cafe where it's just her,
Oh, of course, yeah,
and then Frederick Zola comes up to her again.
yeah,
We actually missed
mean-
that scene. I don't know if you want to talk about that as well.
yeah. Of course. Well, do you have anything to say?
I went back to that scene. I was like, when he enters, like everyone's, they want pictures, they want to greet him and stuff because of his exploits, and then she kind of seems to like perk up. Then seems to be interested, and just instantly changes the tone. Just
Yeah,
walks out.
it's when it's because that's when you realise what he's actually famous for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, oh fucking hell, man,
Fuck this
like,
cunt, yeah.
this guy's a dick, and he is. So
Especially with their history as well.
yeah, I feel like this character as well, Frederick. You get this feeling. I don't think you're meant to know really what to feel about him because it's like when he's in the cinema. I know I'm kind of jumping ahead a bit, but it's like he doesn't like this. Sitting there watching it. So you kind of meant to think, oh, I don't know. Was
Yeah.
he doing it just for the purpose of surviving that situation?
Well-
Because they were going to kill him, right?
That's what I mean when they make it out for him to be like this sort of nice guy, and then until like the very end, when he
Yeah.
seems to like really overassert his authority because he
Which is classic nice guy behavior, I suppose.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a bit of a bastard, to be honest. But great performances, I'll say that.
Glorious one.
Yeah, a bit of an inglorious
Yeah.
bastard, you might say.
Well, glorious because he did have all the glory.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the nation's pride. So yeah, but then yes, of course, we'll move on to the restaurant scene now that we jumped to earlier.
Yeah.
What do you think of Goebbels?
Oh, I loved the portrayal of Goebbels.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, and the actor they got for him looks really similar to like how Goebbels
Yeah.
actually looked. I don't know if you've seen the photo of Goebbels.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I was looking at all this stuff last night while I was watching it because I wanted to know how much. Because there's a lot of what's the word, artistic liberties taken in this film, isn't there? Really?
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's not. It's fiction.
Yeah.
But yeah, Goebbels felt like a pretty great character, to be honest. I love how he's you capture that like where he's very fun in those scenes. Like he's quite light-hearted, but then he just turns and he's really angry.
Yeah.
Just at the flip of a coin. But then you get that from Frederick as well when she tells the translator tells her that they want to show the film in her cinema, and he's like, I wanted to tell her. Yeah, you start to see his dark side sort of show out in that scene.
Yeah, I think there's a lot where it seems like he's about to, like where it's very like a very authoritative kind of personality that he's got, where it's like he makes it seem like he's gonna be angry at you, and then he's happy with you, and he's like friendly with you,
Yeah.
and then like he seems like he's gonna be angry with you again, and then he's not. It's very like
Mhm.
unpredictable, and I think there's quite an interesting character to show.
Yeah. And it's like there's a couple of scenes where he sort of gives you. I don't know if you've seen that famous photo. I think it's him anyway, where it's like when it's the photo taken when he realizes that the person taking the photo is Jewish. Have you seen that photo?
Oh, I think I've heard of that photo, but I'm not sure if I've actually
Yeah.
seen it.
There's a photo of Goebbels where, as he's taking the photo, he learns that the guy taking the photo is Jewish, and he has this look, And I feel like when I was watching the film, I saw that look,
Right.
which was, and it was. I think he captured it really well. I think he's a great actor, basically. But then, obviously, after that, we have the scene where Hans comes in and orders the strudel.
hmm
Oh, what do you think of that one?
Just playing with his food again.
Mm.
He knows who it is.
Oh,
She knows.
He asks her. He said, "What does he say? I'll have. What does he have to drink?
He
Oh, an
has-
espresso."
And yeah, he orders a glass of milk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he orders the drink for her and says, "Yeah, and for the young lady, a glass of milk." And then
I know. And when he said that, I was like, "Oh God!" And it's so subtle, but also, so obvious.
Yeah, I thought like watching this film, I kept thinking like, why is he doing this sort of thing? But it all ends up being his plan to bring
Yeah.
both together.
Yeah.
His greater plan.
He is playing with her. He's toying with her.
Yeah.
He's,
Wait
playing
for
with
the
his
cream.
Food. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
build
it.
it.
It's so good.
yeah,
I love that.
and there's
And that cream looks so good as well. And he's scooped. Oh, so nice.
Ooh, yeah.
and there was the
Isn't
scene. No, sorry, same scene. End of that scene. He's like, and there was another thing I have to say to you.
But I
And
forgot.
there's like a dramatic pause,
Oh yeah.
and he's like, but right now that's what it was escapes me. It's just like, and that's it.
God, yeah. And then he just leaves, and it's like
Yeah.
just that big breathe out. But I don't know. You couldn't breathe out that scene because he knows, man. He knows.
Yeah, she
That
says a
should
little
be-
breakdown, didn't she?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, wouldn't you? God damn. Oh, so have you got any more notes you want to say about this scene? I think that was a pretty fantastic scene, honestly.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it sums it up.
very good.
Yeah,
Good
engaging,
tension.
start to finish. It's well because, that's it. Because obviously, as I said, I didn't even know that it was the same girl, right?
Mm. When do you find
So
out?
when he sits down, it does a flashback, doesn't it, to of her running away at the start of the film,
Oh, right, yeah.
and that's when I was like, oh yeah, right, of course. I kind of can't believe I missed it, but at the same time, I'm glad that happened because I remember thinking like, oh my god, because she was obviously very tense throughout the whole scene,
Mm.
and I did think, is she Jewish and whatever? It sort of, came to me, and I thought, yeah, that was really when it really set in, and when he ordered the milk, I was like, oh god, it was where it really started to get tense. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. It was great. Should we move on to the next chapter? Chapter 4. Michael Fassbender and Mike Myers.
Wait, is
Oh
this
yeah,
the,
it's Mike Myers, the English
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, the English like
yeah, it's
general.
very.
Yeah.
That room is very big. They're in. Like God.
Yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
like they're all at separate points of the film.
Yeah.
Room. They're in each corner.
I'd say, personally, Mike Myers kind of took me out of the film a little bit. Like, I think he was good, but I saw Mike Myers.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know it was Mike Myers,
Okay.
but
Well, I remember seeing it in the guest stars at the beginning. I was like, oh, Mike Myers, and then when I saw him, I was like, oh, Mike Myers. Okay.
You see, I knew the voice. The voice took me out of it.
Yeah.
I was like, it's such a distinct voice.
It's goddamn Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But Michael Fassbender, I think, was really, really good.
Mhm.
Yeah. He was. I would personally say I'm kind of sad he wasn't in it more because I don't know. I really liked his character and I think he did it really well.
Mm. It's not too much in that scene though.
No,
just a
but
bit of-
obviously that's when they go into the basement after this.
Mm.
What
That.
do we think of this
yeah.
scene? This scene, very good, I think.
Basement scene.
You know, when they're drinking and playing the game.
Oh yeah. Basically, yeah. That's might be my favorite scene of the movie. I think.
I agree. I think it's mine as well, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of subtle details as well.
I also think what's great as well is that the cast in this scene isn't even like the main cast, you know.
Mm.
But they all sell it so well.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like random characters and their own little side stories.
Yeah. Like Wilhelm with his kid.
Yeah.
And how like you have these instances happening throughout where you kind of think you're always thinking like, oh, they're just about to get away with it, and then something else happens, and it just keeps going back, and they keep having to what's the word? Like ad lib the situation, you know. I kept thinking if I was Lieutenant Archie Hickox is his name, played by Michael Fassbender. If I was him in the situation, I would have bottled it so soon, you know. I'd be terrified.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like when Wilhelm comes to join them at the table, and then Archie Hickox, he tells them like, "This is an officer's table. You need to go. You need to leave." As in like trying to make them go away so they can talk, but then like that just attracts the attention of their commander. That they got, and,
their officer.
Yeah, their officer.
Let me see if I can find out who that is. It's his name's Major Hellstrom.
Oh yes.
Played by August Deal.
Yeah, there we go, August Deal.
Yeah, he was pretty good actor. I really enjoyed that scene, watching how I don't know, all these instances where he knows something's wrong. He's trying to figure it out the whole time, and and it's all brought down by that spyglasses.
Yeah.
But then I read somewhere that I didn't read the thing, but people are saying that he actually just knew the whole time and was doing that classic Nazi thing of just playing with his food.
Well, I mean, you could kind of tell from the start, couldn't you? Because everyone was suspicious of his accent.
Yeah.
So they were already suspicious that he was,
Yeah. And what did we think of Bridget von... What's her name, sorry?
Bridget von Hammersmark, played by Diane Kruger. Diane Kruger is one of the only actors in this film where she is not the nationality of the character she's portraying.
Oh, wow.
Because Diane Kruger, she's American.
Right, and she's playing French?
She's German.
German, of course. Sorry.
And she speaks... I mean, to me, it's like when she's speaking German in that scene, I can't tell she's American, obviously, because I don't speak German, but there's a...
Well, I imagine if you were German, you could probably...
Yeah, I might be able to, but there's a scene later on where she speaks English, and that's... I kind of felt a bit like she speaks differently to how the other German spoke when they speak English with a German accent.
Yeah.
But I think it's still... I mean, she's still a great actress in that scene.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They all sell it so well.
Yeah.
It's like we're watching Stieglitz as he's like slowly losing patience, and you're always thinking like, there's so many moving parts in this scene, which, if one of them goes wrong, it's like everything's just gonna blow up into this, big fight scene.
He's very famous with Germans, right? Because he did kill like 13, was it like
Gestapo?
Yeah, members, and so he should have been known.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that confused me a little bit, especially when their officer came along, Maelstrom, not Maelstrom.
But I suppose
Hellstrom.
perhaps he knew that when he sat down, because he kept toying with him, didn't he? He kept like bashing him on the shoulder and stuff, and like
because it's. Oh, sorry, Harry, you were gonna say something?
No, I didn't. It's just that way he was sitting, sort of thing.
Yeah, cause he gets him to move over, and I love Hugo Stieglitz's like reaction in this scene where like they say like, "Oh, let's play a game," and he just really doesn't want to play a game.
Yeah,
I relate to this character.
Yeah, and obviously because Hammersmark is trying to like make this discreet and keep up her persona, she has to keep agreeing, and he knows that, and that's why he says that thing, isn't it? Like, I'm only intruding if she says I'm intruding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clever, man. There's a lot of very clever stuff in this bit. It's
Yeah. I also
she's not very clever bringing him to that goddamn bar though.
I
yeah,
know.
but she didn't know that they were gonna be there
Oh,
because originally it was gonna be
Yeah.
like empty, but it's because Wilhelm's wife had a child. Their officer had let them have the night off to go in the pub, that bar,
Yeah.
and that's why. So she didn't know that was gonna happen.
yeah. It's just bad
Yeah.
luck, eh?
Why is Hellstrom in the back though?
Because
Why is he just chilling
he says officers shouldn't fraternize with his subordinates. So he's
Yeah, and they're his enlisted men, aren't they?
yeah.
So he's the one that said, "Oh yeah, you can go for a drink," but I suppose he just came with them and
Yeah, 'cause he's just in the corner
Sort of
reading a
sounds, yeah.
book, isn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Drinking from a
see.
glass that's shaped like a boot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that. That was pretty cool. Right, so Stiglitz, I like how he wrote King Kong for Major Hellstrom,
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
trying to suggest that he's a beast. You know, that was the
That was
impression I
intended.
got. Yeah.
Impression.
Just that he was like, because he was so pissed off at this point, and he was just like, "Fuck King Kong."
Yeah.
I did find that quite amusing. Do you have anything else you want to take note of in this scene?
Other than he was very good at guessing his character.
Yeah.
I like when he when it switches over to him in the back, you're reading his book, and he slowly walks over and just takes the needle off the record player.
Oh
You
yeah, I
see
didn't
that
actually notice that.
You get a shot of the bar as well. Everyone there, everyone's reaction. That was a
Mhm.
nice touch. Because I did notice throughout the scene there's that music playing, and it stops like midway through,
Mm.
and it's just I
Yeah.
found it a nice touch him just taking the needle off, so you know.
Yeah,
where
that's
the music's
interesting.
coming from.
I didn't notice that,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Another thing about that scene that I really like is when Archie Hickox puts his fingers up the three
Yeah.
Zwei glasses. You can see Bridget von Hammersmark see that he puts three fingers up, and she's immediately, you can see her reaction on her face in that scene, that she's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
She like looks down, and then you see like Major Hellstrom's face as well, where he looks at his fingers and he's just like staring at it. But I love that.
Yeah.
So just like the
Yeah,
suspense.
it's quite subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it sort of it flicks a switch in you as well, where you're like, even if you don't, because I didn't know to begin with, but I knew something changed. You know? Which I think is very clever. I should mention as well, obviously Wilhelm's just had his kid, Maximilian,
Mhm.
and she fucking just shoots him anyway.
Yeah.
Do you think that he would have shot Aldo?
I want to say no.
I feel like he wasn't going to.
Yeah, same. I don't think he was either. You seemed like it seemed genuine when he was like, all right, sort of thing. He put the gun down.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was gonna like walk towards him, walk away from the gun, but he just got shot instantly.
You got to think as well, like he had no idea what even happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's fucking drunk out of his
Yeah.
mind. as well.
Obviously, he shoots him in the balls.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate. It's pretty sad. And it's a shame about the whiskey too. So anything else?
Impressive how many. Actually, yeah. Anything else? The massive gunfight broke out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most of those bottles in the back survived.
Yeah.
I know. They're just all just there
Well,
on
that's
the shelf.
good. That's good. You know. it's a good thing.
Yes.
So pretty great gunfight as well. I like how quick it went down. It was, because you got to think about the reality of a gunfight like that. It would be over pretty fast.
Considering the situation as well, they all seem to, especially the guy having two guns aimed at his balls, seemed pretty cool.
Yeah.
Seemed pretty chill with the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, the way Hugo, like, when he does it as well, he just, like, really, like, non-discreet, just, like, shoves it in his crotch. His gun.
Yeah, just pulls it out and it's just straight over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me the highlight of this is Michael Fassbender's performance. Honestly,
It was good, yeah.
I feel like I was really impressed by him. To be honest, yeah,
He's
Good
German's
stuff.
really good as well. It took me by surprise. Sort of thing.
yeah. And I do, even though I'm not German, I feel like I could actually tell the sort of the difference in the accent.
Mm.
But that probably does just come from the fact that he is English. So yeah.
Yeah, quite the English accent as well in the previous scene.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anything else for this one? Obviously, oh yeah, I should mention that I did actually want to point this out. Another criticism I have is after this, obviously she gets shot in the leg, doesn't she?
Mm.
Is the only one that survives the gunfight. I want to know, where is this doctor? Where is this surgery? And
It's a
also,
It's a
vet,
vet,
right?
yeah. It's why he's got dogs
It's a
in the
vet.
background.
right, of course. So, but also, why didn't they meet there?
Well,
That's a good
again,
point.
like I was saying before, she didn't know that there were going to there were going to be people in this bar.
Yeah,
So
but
she
I also
she
think if this vet is cool, right, and he's cool with an American being there and stuff.
I don't think he is cool. I think they broke into his house and they held him at gunpoint. Like
Yeah,
you know,
this is obviously me just missing the point
Yeah.
of this scene.
I think because you even see like after he's finished, he like injects I guess like a painkiller into Bridget and and Aldo's just like, all right, get away, and he like shoves him onto the floor. Like he's clearly not there because of like the vet's invitation. I think they just broke in and said like, right, you're gonna fix our friend or we're gonna kill you.
True. The bit where he puts his finger in a wound as well, I was cringing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Put that down.
Good effect.
Ugh. Yeah, that type of film, yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of something I do want to say about the vet scene. There's a deleted scene. I haven't seen the deleted scene. I've just heard there's a deleted scene where Donny Donovitz gets angry at the fact that like the cinema's changing because you know like the cinema where they were going to originally hold the film has been changed to Shoshana's cinema,
Yeah.
and Donny Donovitz gets angry at the fact that like the plans changed, and he pulls a
Yeah.
gun out and shoots one of the dogs in the background.
Does he actually? I didn't see that.
No, he doesn't do it in the film. It's a deleted scene.
Oh Christ.
They
okay.
took it out apparently, and I can understand why because that would like make Donny Donovitz seem like an asshole.
Oh yeah,
So-
pretty unlikable character at that point, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm glad.
And you know he's a likable character.
Yeah,
so-
and that's why like one of the dogs in the background of the scene is actually dead with a bullet wound, if you look at it.
Wow.
So I think they obviously kept that prop in, but they
Right.
just deleted the scene. Yeah.
Interesting. I should mention as well. I don't think we've actually mentioned at all what the plot is at this point.
Oh.
So I will just say. So obviously, Goebbels is Frederick Zoller is has a major exploit of killing like 300 Italians in Italy, or not Italians, just soldiers, Allied soldiers, and Goebbels wants to make a film about it. They're going to premiere the film at the cinema. They change the cinema to Shosanna because Frederick Zoller fancies her and convinces Goebbels to. And then it turns out that the Führer's going there, so they want to, and this is the reason why. The English soldier, Lieutenant Archie Hickox, played by Michael Fassbender, goes and meets the bastards because they're planning to get this information from Bridget von Hammersmark, who's a famous actress, who's going to be at the cinema, so that they can commit a terrorist attack against the Nazis, blow up the cinema while they're all in there, and end the war.
Do they know about each other's plan?
Who?
Because she's gonna burn down the
Oh
cinema.
no, they don't know about that.
Her
No,
cinema.
no.
That's the
I didn't think
that's
so.
the interesting thing is that like unbeknownst to the bastards is that Shoshana and Marcel have made their own plan to burn down the cinema.
Yes.
So like they
Using film reel made of nitrate? Something nitrate?
Yeah. because the film reel is extremely flammable.
Yeah, and she's got lots of film reel. So, did I miss anything from the plot? I don't think I did, right? I think that's pretty much
No.
sums it up.
That's pretty much it.
Right then, should we move on to chapter 5, the final chapter?
Yes.
Yeah, cinema.
Yeah, so this is at the premiere of the film, which is called Nation's Pride. And all the baddies are there, and most of the goodies are there. You got Christoph Waltz, who is eyeing up everyone, Hans Lander. And Hitler's there. Well, he's not there yet, is he? He comes in after.
Mm.
Goebbels is there. A bunch of other famous Nazis that I'd never heard of. And also you've got the bastards, who are now pretending to be Italian because it's the only language they know.
I found that funny.
Yeah, it's when he says as well. He says like, you can be the cameraman's assistant because you know the third best Italian. I don't know any Italian. Exactly, that's why you're the third best. Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Doesn't even speak Italian. The main guy, he's like he's
Yeah.
so American.
Buongiorno.
Bye.
Arrivederci.
That's really funny. Yeah, I did think Brad Pitt plays. He's full on comic relief in this, isn't he? He's probably one of the least serious characters throughout the whole film.
Yeah. I do like
Mm.
his character though, Aldo.
Yeah,
He's cool.
yeah, it's great.
The bastards aren't very serious, I don't think,
No.
other than like on the bar.
Yeah, you get this feeling that they don't have anything to lose. They're just kind of relishing this experience of killing as many Nazis as they can.
I absolutely love when Waltz is introducing himself when they put their hands up like Italian.
Yeah,
You know, they really they put their thumb and finger
Oh, yeah,
together.
yeah.
Oh my god, it's such a
What are their Italian names
So
again? So you got Gorlami. And then
Oh, I don't
What are
know.
the other ones called now?
Cannot remember for the life of me.
Because he's getting them to repeat their names.
Yeah,
Once more,
and they're actually really accentuate the
Let me hear the music in it. He says.
yeah.
He's brilliant. Again, Christoph Waltz's performance in this scene as well. It's just so good.
Yeah.
When she said she hurt her leg in a mountain climbing accident, and he just he's doing that very obvious fake laughter,
Yeah.
and he's full on walking over to the other Germans, making a big show of it. He's
Yeah.
so well executed.
Yeah. I think the part in this scene as well where Hans Landa just when he finds out they're Italian and he just starts speaking in really fluent Italian. It's like that's that moment he just oh shit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly look up the bastards' Italian names. If you want to just keep talking.
Yeah, I mean, he does a really good point of letting people know that he knows without telling them that he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sort of thing.
how he's always just playing with their food. Again, playing with his food. Just
Yeah. It's quite the coincidence that he knows Italian.
yeah, but I mean, if you were in that position, you would think learning the languages of your enemies would be very beneficial.
Well, and allies, because the Italians were
Oh yeah, totally.
the allies of Nazis for a brief period of time before they switched
Mhm.
sides.
So their names are Enzo Gorlami, Antonio Margariti, and Dominic De Cocco.
Oh yeah, because
Um,
Dominic De Coco one. What's the name of his actual? Omar Ulmer is the character he plays.
Yeah.
He does it all right, doesn't he? He only repeats
Yeah.
it once, and then he's like, "Oh, bravo."
It's because he's a lot more subtle,
Yeah.
whereas Bear Jews version, you get Antonio Margariti.
Yeah.
So over the
Oh,
top.
it's that whole scene.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. Obviously, we have the scene. There was some really nice cinematography where Shosanna stood by the window in the red dress, and the Nazi flags in the background. That shot is really with the music in the background as well. Because they open the chapter with that, don't they? Her standing by the window, and it's
Mhm.
it's really powerful imagery. I thought that was very nice visually to look at. And obviously she puts the makeup on and loads the gun. It's very okay, this is it,
So glow up.
Yeah, big time. Well, you could say as well that you just thought after you said glow up, the contrast with the way she looks in this scene and as she's running away from the house in the end scene, the shoes on the other foot, as they say.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which I think is pretty nice. So we get a bit more of Tarantino's foot fetish. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did with
Yep.
Bridget von Hammersmark, that whole scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put your foot on my leg or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of close-ups of her feet, but you got to admit though, he writes it into the script well.
Yeah, I mean, he writes it in a way where
Yeah,
it
he
makes sense
does.
to the plot. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really notice.
So I did think.
Well, I mean, you know it's the feet.
Yeah, when you know, but
Yeah.
it does work. So I don't have any problem with that, I suppose.
It's not done in a way that it's not it's not like a straight shot for 30 seconds of just a foot.
Mhm.
It's subtle, it gets the job done. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Perfect foot. It's like a Cinderella's glass
Slipper.
Glass
Is it-
slipper.
glass slipper.
Yeah.
Yeah, glass slipper. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well,
Um,
if the shoe fits, you must wear it."
Great line.
Yeah.
So then what happens? He chokes her to death.
Oh,
because Go
I
on.
have trivia about that scene, the choking scene. Christ-
Very
Chri-
interesting.
Christoph Waltz. Okay, so Diane Kruger, the actress, she was actually choked in that scene, like in real life.
I kind of noticed that.
But it wasn't Christoph Waltz choking her because Quentin Tarantino was scared. I guess for like legal reasons, he didn't want Christoph Waltz to do it, and he was scared that he
It was her boyfriend.
no,
Dark.
no, it was actually Quentin Tarantino. He choked her out.
What?
Yeah. I think he said he was scared that like Christoph Waltz would apply too much pressure to the throat,
Right.
and he said he wanted.
Quentin Tarantino is very experienced in this field.
I guess so. And apparently that is.
Oh,
What he
yeah,
did. I mean, he got some backlash for it as well, when people found out.
Right. Well,
But
I mean, so long as she's all right, I suppose,
well, I guess she's gonna say she's alright with it. She might not want to, make a big
probably
deal out of it.
signed an NDA on that one.
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I mean, he came out.
Probably got to take her shoes off as well.
It wasn't like a secret though, because like Quentin Tarantino just said it himself. It wasn't like a secretive thing.
It's one of them situations, isn't it? Where oh God, I don't know. I don't even want to comment on that one. That's
I mean, I was thinking like it's pretty convincing that she's choking to death.
yeah. I did think. Christ. Well, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Does it? Do you know what she said about it? Like, did
I
she
don't
say
know what
anything?
I don't know what Diane Kruger said about it, but Quentin Tarantino has said that he did it, and he says, I think he has said that he won't be doing anything like that again because he kind of think he probably regrets it to some extent
Yeah.
doing it. But
It's a good scene though.
to be fair, it is a good scene.
Yeah. But you get lots of these instances of that kind of thing happening, just where what level of authenticity do you want to bring to this film, and how okay are the actors with the situation? It's a fine line to cross, honestly. So long as she's okay, anyway. I hope she's doing okay.
Like, she's doing fine, I think.
Well, yeah, she probably made a bit of money from this, so hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how these things go. Maybe a good time to bring up that this is a film from the Weinstein Company.
Oh.
Yeah.
What company? What company is that?
You know about Harvey Weinstein, right?
Oh.
Because I thought that might have been where it was going. Like it wasn't Christoph Waltz that was choking her; it was Harvey Weinstein.
Oh no.
Not again.
She's too old.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh God. Let's move on from that one. So yeah. So after this, obviously he says, one in the smoking white coat, and obviously Brad Pitt's in that beautiful white jacket. Does look great. Gets a bag on his head. Back of a truck. Off he goes. And while this is happening, the film's going on, right?
Yeah, and they take BJ Novak as well.
Yes, of course. Who is what is it? The little man?
Yeah,
Is that what
and
his name is? Something like that.
He's in The Office. The actor is.
Who's it? The actor's in The Office?
The guy who plays BJ Novak, the one that survives with Aldo.
Yeah.
The actor who plays him he's a character in The Office.
Oh, of course.
I don't.
I haven't seen The Office.
I mean, I haven't either. I've only seen the pilot, but I just know I've seen clips of The Office, and I looked at. He is in The Office. I looked it up, and apparently there's a bit of trivia for that as well. He really wanted to be on Inglourious Basterds, but it did actually conflict with filming for The Office as well. So he actually managed to get it so that his character in The Office said that he was going on holiday to Thailand for the remainder.
Should have said France.
Oh no. Yeah, for the remainder of the season, so that he could go and film Inglourious Basterds.
That's good. I get the feeling that the people on The Office probably would have just been totally okay with that.
Yeah.
I wrote it in. So
Yeah.
I guess so.
That's good. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I think he I didn't really notice him throughout the whole film, but in that last scene where they're talking with Christoph Waltz, I loved his nonchalant approach,
Mhm.
where he was just kind of like, that's what they call me.
Yeah.
It's quite funny.
Yeah.
And obviously this is where we get to the scene where Christoph Waltz, Hans Lander says he is willing to betray the Nazis completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants all the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to go.
Yeah, he makes some demands, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wants demands that like he wants it to be known that he was working with the Allies the entire time.
Yeah.
He wants that to be like the story that's spun. But
What a bastard.
I like how they at the end they carve the swastika into his
Yeah,
forehead
that's
anyway.
it. It's that callback, isn't it,
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
where he says, "I thought you were going to take the outfit off. I'll give you something you can't take off." Yeah, good stuff. And while this is going on, we learn that. So who is it? DeCocco and Dominic DeCocco and Antonio
Yeah.
Margheriti are sitting in the cinema, and they've got dynamite around their legs, ready to blow up the cinema. Do you think that would be enough dynamite to do that?
I was gonna say something about this. Like, I think they executed their plan of killing Hitler and whatnot. However, the cinema started to combust right in front of their eyes. The doors are jammed. Did they need to kill
I
themselves?
don't know if they could have escaped, even if they
They could
wanted
have
to.
took it off their ankles.
I almost
walked
feel
out.
like they were just sort of like already ready
Yeah,
for that.
They'd already
know.
mentally prepared themselves to die.
Yeah, and they were just going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, and when
You know.
when you were saying about is that enough dynamite, I think they only needed enough dynamite. Like for them, their plan wasn't to blow up the entire cinema; it was just to blow up the 4 main Nazi generals.
Mm.
But they were up in the boxes anyway,
Yeah.
so I did think,
The-
is that going to be enough?
They were just trying to kill Hitler and Goebbels and all that.
Yeah. Well, it was 4 of them, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, there's I forgot the other 2 names. I should know because I'm
Yeah,
a
me too.
history person.
Let me have a quick look.
There was more than 4 IRL. It's just that's the one before.
Yeah, of course, but they were the ones, they wanted.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, I can't see it right now, so I'm just gonna move on. So, what do we think of the when the cinema reel reveals that Shosanna Dreyfus has done her own film when it combusts and you see her face in the smoke?
Yeah, I think that was really
Yeah.
fucking cool. So it would when it cuts to her laughing and it's being projected on the
Yeah.
smoke and the fire in the background, that was so fucking
It full
cool.
on gave me Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes.
What part?
The end where all the Nazis are burning, and you got the ghosts coming out of the Ark. I was just sort of thought
Oh,
it kind
yeah.
of. I know it's not the same, but it did remind me very much of that. And I just think that effect of her face over the smoke, if it looks so real, I'm guessing did they actually do that? And
They probably did
Yeah.
project over some smoke. I feel like that was
Apparently.
hard to do.
That was a real fire, and it got
it looked pretty real.
and it got out of hand, more out of hand than they were expecting. And Eli Roth and Omar Doom, the 2 the ones that were they're up on the balcony shooting them, they actually suffered burns. And apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently, if they had stayed there something like 15 seconds longer than they were supposed to, they could have died. That's how out of hand the fire got, apparently,
What?
when they were filming that.
You see that you get these connections where you think Diane Kruger got bloody choked by Quentin Tarantino, and these guys nearly fucking died in a fire. And cinema's a dangerous job.
Yeah.
Man.
Depends on the film, really.
But yeah. But yeah,
For in a Marvel film, it's not very dangerous seeing it from a green screen all day.
yeah. And also I loved watching Hitler's face getting just absolutely
Shot multiple times.
obliterated. It was so fucking. It was a great effect.
I really there's
Um,
a scene that I really like. I don't know why I like it so much, but there's where Hitler walks outside of his balcony thing, and there's 2 guards there, and he just goes, he asks for gum. Yeah, I find that really funny. I don't know why.
When it cuts back to the what's his name? Uh, uh, what's his name? It's not Don. The other dude,
Omar.
the Jew, the
Oh no,
Gollum.
the
Yeah, yeah,
Gollum.
yeah.
Gollum.
Wait, it
Yeah,
cuts back to him, and
that's
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
Donny Donovitz.
That's not. No, as in like I'm talking about the
Oh, the
Italian names.
Italian names.
De Cocco.
There's Donny, and then
They got Dominic De
yeah,
Cocco
when like
and Margheriti.
yeah, Marguerite, when he smiles like that really smug fucking smile and just dips back behind the
Yeah.
wall. Yeah.
I should mention a
great.
couple of things as well. Obviously, Frederick Zola has been shot at this point. He went up to the projector room to try and get it on. I'm assuming with Shazana, but she shoots him because he gets very forceful and he shows his final true colours. Should have guessed Nazi after all.
Well,
And then
that's the thing is
Go on.
she says like, okay, lock the door. And trying to like trick him into thinking that she's gonna like have sex with him, I guess. And then he goes to lock the door and she shoots him in the back.
yeah, but then he's still alive and he
Same,
shoots
yeah.
her.
It's almost like she regretted doing it,
Yeah.
sort of thing. She walked up.
Kind of poetic justice in that.
Touch your
though,
shoulder.
Or not poetic justice, just a poetic ending, with
Yeah.
them shooting each other, and obviously, but she remained alive in the form of the projector on the smoke, just for that final scene as everything goes up in flames. I also love that bit where he's like got the gun under the sort of wrist gun underneath the cloth as he goes past and shoots him in the head. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously they just blast Hitler and
Punch him in the
Goebbels,
face.
which is very satisfying.
Why do you like that scene so much where he's getting fucking cheese grate like Swiss
I'm
cheese?
just I'm a huge fan of practical effects, and I love horror films, and I love anything like that. Where, to me, the reason why I prefer practical to CGI, not always. I know CGI can be very good, but the reason why I love practical so much is because even if it doesn't look real, it looks tangible. It looks textured. There's real texture to it. So everything reacts authentically. So when the bullets are hitting him, it just, you feel like it just looks realistic. It reacts realistically, and just, I'm just a big fan of practical, So
Yeah.
seeing stuff like that, I'm just always like, yeah. Plus, come on, man, he's Hitler.
Yeah.
You could see him do his psychopathic death stare.
Yeah.
That is a good stare.
Pretty great. So,
I want to say just before we go to the next one, I kind of like the touch of it's got the shot of the cinema blowing up from the outside, and there's just the person just riding the bike, just minding their own
yeah.
business. They're caught in the crossfire sort of
Yeah.
thing. Not for the fact that I like them being killed, but it shows you that kind of like it's casualties
Yeah.
to it,
Oh yeah.
but non-intended ones.
And then I should mention as well, this is right after this scene, we get Hans Lander being transported with his colleague, and Alderaan and I just forget his name. PFC Utovich, I think it says.
Yeah, that's the office guy.
Yeah. Where they just shoot him after he's bargained
Yeah.
for his life. Pretty good. Yeah. Satisfying ending for that character of Christoph Waltz with getting the swastika. So yeah, that's. What do you think of this ending then?
I don't know, because in a way the bad guy won, but the good guys won the war. But the guy behind, like Waltz got what he wanted,
Yeah,
even though he's got a swastika on his head. It's still a satisfying.
it
ending,
is.
I think.
I to be honest with you, I like endings like that anyway because it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not a fairy tale film, is it? Let's be honest. It's
No.
The whole point of it is good people die, bad people get away with it. It's But seeing that very graphic scene where he's got the swastika in his head at the end, again, great practical
more
effects.
Yeah.
Love that.
I like when he shoots that guy as well, and then he knows he's not going to get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Like even though he's bargaining for his
Yeah.
life, just
What does he say? I'm going to get chewed out. I've been chewed out before.
Yeah.
and And obviously he ends the film with that line. He said, "I think this is my masterpiece."
Yeah.
You think that might be somewhat autobiographical of Quentin Tarantino?
Maybe.
What do you
Quentin
think?
Tarantino.
It's only
Sorry,
his
go on.
second. Is
No,
it second
oh
one?
no,
No.
he's really.
He's done many before this.
Yeah.
No.
Done the Kill Bills, Pulp
Is that- I thought he
Fiction,
was se- Why do I think he was second?
Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, it was Pulp Fiction. His
Yeah,
second. I think I was
Reservoir
getting mixed
Dogs,
up with
Pulp Fiction, and then he did.
Oh,
And
but
he's
yeah, Pulp
done-
Fiction
and he
was
did
his
Kill Bill
second.
as well,
Yeah,
didn't he?
yeah.
I should mention as well, obviously, he cast Christoph Waltz in this, and then 3 years later, Christoph Waltz is in Django Unchained.
Who does he play in Django Unchained?
He plays the dentist, the guy that saved him,
Oh.
the guy that he travels with, the bounty hunters.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah, who is awesome in that as well.
It kind of makes me want to see more films with him, innit,
Yeah.
honestly.
He was in Spectre, James Bond film, but I think in that film they made the mistake of being like, oh, he played a pretty good villain in Inglourious Basterds. Should we just cast him in this and he'll do the same thing? And it's like, no, because you need a really good script to back it. And
He can really make use of a lot of his talents, but if you're going to throw him into a basic role, he's not going to shine.
exactly, I mean, we can tell from this at least he is a pretty exceptional actor.
Mm.
Mm.
So yeah, big fan of Christoph Waltz in this. I think he still as a show, big time.
Yeah, he did for me, honestly.
Also, I will say,
Any scene with him
sorry.
in it, I loved.
yeah, pretty much.
That's what I'm saying, really. Yeah.
I will say, I'm not ordinarily a huge fan of Brad Pitt as well, but I think he's really good in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't say much.
No, but I don't think he doesn't have to, because
Yeah, no.
his
yeah.
character is just a bit, it's just very arrogant, and I love the accent he does. It's very funny. Right, so
Very stereotypical.
yeah. So should we just do some final thoughts?
Yeah.
So who wants to start? Who wants to lead off?
There you go. You lead off.
Okay, well, all around, I think this is one of the better Tarantino films I've seen. One of the best, I'll say. I'm a huge fan of Django, and Kill Bill, and Pulp Fiction. I'm quite a big fan of Tarantino, really. But yeah, I don't know what to say, really. It's just a pretty all-round fun film. Lots of great conversation scenes. Lots of great direction, because I feel like the sign of a good director is when you have scenes of people just talking for ages, and yet somehow you're still engaged and interested. And the script is great, the acting's great, it's got a great cast. I like.
Anything you don't like about it?
I suppose the thing is, I would say the only thing that I'm not. It's hard to say, really, because it's got a very cartoony feel to it, hasn't it? Where it feels
I think
In
that's
some way,
that is
yeah. I
Tarantino's
mean-
style, though, isn't it?
exactly. That's what I was gonna
Yeah,
say. Yeah,
yeah.
his style is very much like, it feels like a comic book sometimes, but I don't have a problem with that. I just think perhaps it's not for me to say, but perhaps maybe with the subject matter at hand, it could have been maybe a little bit more tonally serious at times. But then you get. But then it's like with the scenes but then it's reflected in the characters. So like Christoph Waltz's character again is so grounded in reality that it brings that around.
I
Um,
actually think the opposite of that. I think the fact that it's funny is good, because it takes place
I
in an
agree.
extremely dark and horrific time and place, and it kind of
yeah, and it doesn't. Yeah, and it doesn't take away from it, because it's like in the opening scene, that's not very funny.
Oh no.
And so I don't know. It's not really a criticism so much as just an observation. I suppose I'm just looking for something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot. I want to hear what you guys have to say actually first. So
No, I honestly think you summed it up pretty well. Like I absolutely love this film. Like I would watch it again soon. Honestly, just to watch it again with a group of some people or something. And entertaining all the way through. Honestly, there's not many flaws with this film. Like, I never once like wanted to skip through bits or anything. It just kept my attention all the way
I
through.
suppose one thing I would say is just what you were talking about earlier, Dan, with the having characters that have things unexplained about them, such as the scar on his neck, etc.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could work on that, but again, like you say, that would make for a very long, not
It's
interesting
like he's been
film.
like his throat has been fully cut
Yeah.
open.
Yeah, I know. Pretty brutal scar.
Or like, I think it's meant to be like
Uh-huh.
maybe he was hung at some point, or like he was
Right.
someone like maybe someone like attempts
It
to hang
looks
him.
to me, it looks like a
Or
cut.
hanged, I should say, not
Skull.
hung. Hanged is the
It looks like a burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a cut or a
Yeah.
burn mark. Yeah.
So Dan, what you got some final thoughts on this
Uh,
one? Obviously, this was your
Wait,
recommendation.
it was my
so-
recommendation, and this is my favorite Tarantino film out of all of his, just above Hateful Eight, which is my second favorite. And
I haven't seen that one.
I like it. But this episode of this podcast is not about Hateful Eight, so I shall not talk about that. I love this film a lot. I think I would, in some ways, I would like it to be longer. But
Really? You want
but then again, yeah, I think I do want some things explained, but then at the same time, I'm like, I also think it's the perfect length because it's like when I was watching it again last night, like it just went by so quickly. Even though it's like a 2.5 hour film, it just went by so quickly. I think it's just because I just enjoy it so much, and
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say about it. Like I think it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
yeah.
Fair enough. It's hard to.
I-
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something. Trying to think of a
I mean,
criticism. You know.
I'm not criticizing it. Just going back to what you said about the cartoony style. Like I don't think it's done so tastefully. I think it fits it really well. Like
I think
it's
you are
not
right.
overused.
I do agree. I just.
It fits the comedy well. Like it's just
Yeah.
I know it's just so fucking so
Yeah.
good.
A lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching this last night. Yeah. I
Yeah.
found myself in those scenes. You know, like the bar scene where they're all playing the game and stuff. Like the sheer tension that is just underlying absolutely every line. It's just
yeah.
you know, one slip up and this could all go wrong, sort of thing. And it's really, I don't know, it's portrayed so well. And again, like I say, you know, I love the authenticity of the cast. You know, being all of their nationality, you don't get that very often in films. You know, I think that's really good.
Just goes to show the attention to detail that Tarantino
Oh,
wants. in
speaking of
films.
attention to detail, there is a scene. I should have spoken about this earlier. There's a scene where I think it's after it's when Hans Lander's talking about the bastards and he says they disguise themselves in Nazi uniforms and kill Nazis, and it immediately after he says that it shows a scene where it's Donny Donovitz, Hugo Stieglitz, and a third one. I can't remember who. I think it's Omar Ulmer. But anyway, Donny Donovitz and Omar Ulmer, their Nazi uniforms have blood stains on them and don't fit very well because like they've just because they've taken them off of just a Nazi that they've killed. Whereas Hugo Stieglitz, because he used to be in the German army, his fits perfectly and doesn't have any blood stains on because it's his uniform. And I thought that was just a good attention
nice
to detail.
attention to detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. So, do you want to give it a rating? Anybody?
Oh, it's out of 5.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably a 5.
Yeah, I was
it-
thinking that. I was thinking I might just
like-
give it a 5 because
Or because I can't think of anything negative to
Yeah.
say about
no.
it.
I'm
There's
struggling.
Like,
It's like I don't want to give it a 5 just because, just for the sake of it, but at the same time, like
Yeah, it's like if I'm giving it a 4.5, like, and I've got nothing negative to say about it. Like, I don't know what would be a 5 in my eyes. I feel like this film fits that very well.
okay. So we're going for a 5. Fives all round.
it
Is
triple
it?
five?
Yeah.
True 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well.
good choice in film.
Yep.
I guess.
Yeah.
Good-
Excellent
good-
choice.
good-
Yeah, I did it. I really enjoyed it. I did.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Probably watched it. I enjoyed it
Yeah.
more than Night at the Museum.
I'm yeah.
Do you not like that?
I hope so.
I still like Night at the Museum though.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, you want to talk about a recommendation for next
Oh, yeah.
session? When we talked about doing this podcast to begin with, I suggested going in alphabetical order, and that's why Dan chose this film first. Which means, Harry, do you want to recommend a film?
Oh,
If you
fuck.
don't, I will recommend one.
Okay, I'm not prepared for that. I haven't got a film list. I feel like I need like a
Yeah,
list of them.
it's tough. What I would
Yeah,
say,
go. Do you have a film lined up?
not particularly, but what I will say is, we'll try and keep it fresh. So, try and avoid themes that have been done. Try and avoid directors that we've already done.
Just do it. Just Quentin Tarantino.
We're doing this is
just
the
every single
Tarantino
one.
podcast.
Five.
So I feel like if you haven't got one, I haven't seen this film, right? But it's meant to be pretty good, and obviously I'm a big horror fan, and I've been meaning to watch this film. You know how I got you to watch Climax, Harry? Well, it's a
Yes.
film that Climax has been very inspired by, I believe. It came out in 1977. It's a film called Suspiria.
Suspiria.
1977, Italian supernatural horror film, directed by Dario Argento. Fancy watching one of those? Fancy watching that one?
We could, yeah, I guess so. Can't get my,
Yeah, you think of one for next week.
I'm definitely gonna think of
We'll probably do this every
Some
2
films in
weeks as
mind.
well.
Just-
Just saying.
Hmm.
So, thanks for listening. That's quite a long one for our first one, really. An hour and 23 minutes I've got here. Hour and 24. So yeah.
Yeah.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, I certainly will. Right then. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Jake.
And I'm Harry.
And I am Dan.
Are you sure?
I think maybe.
That's a very sure.
We'll find out next episode what my
Yeah.
name is.
Find out next episode. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you figure that one out, Dan. I believe in
Me
you.
too.
Right then. We'll see you next.
Right,
time.
Good morning,
Hope you
good
enjoyed.
evening,
Goodbye.
and good night.
Nice little Truman Show reference.
Bye.
Is it?
Adios. It is.
Okay.
Okay. Adios. Bye.